All right, Cougs, let's talk about what we do in an emergency situation. You know, if you've been here in the past, you know that we've used colors to notify about certain situations, like we would use code red or code yellow. Well, this year we're making some changes with that. We're going to call it and see exactly what it is. We're going to call it just like it is. In classrooms, you probably have already noticed, and if you haven't, some displays like this. These are going to be in your classroom to help guide you on what to do. But I'm going to talk you through the 4 basic emergency situations and what you need to do as a student. So the first one that you'll see on the top, it's color-coded blue, but you're going to hear me say this if I get on the announcements, and that's called lockout. A lockout is a situation where we have a threat on the outside of our building. It could be in a neighborhood, it could be a situation going on here locally, and what we want to do is make sure that we're not outside where that threat potentially is. So when you get, when I get on the PA, you're going to hear me say, students, we're in a lockout situation. Teachers, we are in a lockout situation. I'm going to explain what's going on because it's not like an immediate situation where there's a ton of stuff going on. I'll be able to explain kind of what's going on around us so you'll have a better feel for why we're in that lockout situation. But in the lockout situation, what your responsibility is as a student is to continue with business as usual except for going outside. So if you have a class that has you outside already, that teacher or sponsor will bring you inside. If you are going outside and let's say you have to go to another class for passing period, we'll give you directions on how to stay inside the building in order to get to your class. So again, the idea is that there's a threat outside and your job is to continue with business as usual, but not to go outside of Tomball High School. The second situation is called a lockdown. And this has been in the past what we call a code red. A lockdown is a situation where we have a threat inside of our building. And usually these are very immediate kinds of situations. You'll still hear me get on the PA or another administrator and we will say those words. We'll say, students and teachers, we are in a lockdown situation right now. We're in a lockdown situation. Teachers, secure your rooms. When you hear that, what I need from you as a student is when you're in the classroom, I need you to follow your teacher's directions. And they're covering that this week with you on what do you do in a lockdown situation in my classroom. You're going to be silent. You're going to get away from any visible locations, windows, doors that have those open windows on them. You're going to try to get away from that and you're going to follow your teacher's directions for staying inside a secure location. Again, a lockdown is a situation where we have a threat inside of our building. In just a few minutes, some of our other administrators are going to cover what do you do in a lockdown situation when you're not in a classroom. But again, you're listening for the key words. We are in a lockdown. Teachers and students, please secure yourself and your rooms. The third situation that we might have is called an evacuation. This is a situation where maybe there's a threat. Doesn't have to be necessarily immediate, but we feel like we have got to evacuate our building. This could be a chemical spill. It could be something going on inside the building that's causing it to be an environment that's not safe for you. And what we would do is I would get on the PA and tell you, students, we are going to evacuate our building at this time. Again, I'm going to be talking you through this situation. You're not going to hear me call it one time. I'm going to say it multiple times. And they're going to go over with you in just a few minutes about where you evacuate to. Where do you go if you're in this location? And where do you go if you're in other parts of our building? So they'll talk you through the evacuation. The fourth emergency scenario you may see, and that is a shelter in place. So if we have a tornado, an earthquake, any kind of natural disaster, typically you're going to see us go into a shelter in place. And what I need from you as students in those situations is you're going to listen to your teacher's directions. They're going to provide you with the most secure and safe location, which is typically away from windows and high-rise ceilings. So if you're in the gym, you would come out of the gym or other sort of buildings on campus that have a high ceiling to them. Again, so this is a tornado, it's an earthquake, kind of a natural situation. We're going to shelter in place, and that's how you're going to respond to that situation. Some of our other administrators are going to go through some specific scenarios with you in just a little bit to kind of reemphasize those things, but those are the 4 situations you need to remember. We have a lockout, meaning there's a threat outside. We're going to stay inside our building and operate business as usual. We have a lockdown, which is a threat inside of our building. You're going to go to a secure location and follow directions of your teacher. We have evacuation, so we have a threat on site that is something that we need to escape from. and we're going to remove ourselves from the building totally. That's evacuation, and again, your teachers will provide you directions on where to go on that. And the final thing, again, is our shelter in place. So a natural disaster, earthquake, tornado, you hear the words shelter in place at this time, you know it's time to get secure and ride out the storm. Again, our administrators are going to follow up with just a few tips on specific things like where do you go during passing period, or if it's lunch or before and after school in some of these situations, and they'll follow up with you. But again, safety is top priority at THS. We wanted to talk with you about it this week. So in the event of emergency, you know what to do. Thanks, Cougs.
All right, afternoon, Cougars. My name is John Valiente. I am your Associate of Curriculum Instruction, and today we're going to review some safety drills while you're at lunch. Okay, if we go into a lockdown while we are at lunch, a lockdown means lights out, out of sight. You are to run to the nearest classroom, lock yourselves in there, knock on the door if the teacher lets you in right away. If there are no available rooms, you need to run outside and go to safety. Okay, that is under a lockdown. If we go to a lockout, that means everybody that's inside is going to stay inside. We're not going to let anybody from the outside come in, and nobody from inside is going out. That means there is something else happening around us in the community, and Precinct 4 and our Tomball Police Department will let us know when it's okay to go off of the lockout. If we have a shelter in place while you are at lunch, if you are in the lower lobby, you will run to the black box and the auditorium. If you are in the cafeteria, you will go to a hallway where there is no windows, but we will be directing you. If we go into a shelter in place, just kind of wait back and wait for the administrator to give you directions. Last but not least, if we go to an evacuate while at lunch, if you are in the front part of the building, you will run out and go to Tomball Junior High in an orderly fashion. And if you're in the back of the building, you will run out to the football field in an orderly fashion. All right, thanks for listening. Talk to y'all soon.
Hi guys, I'm Mrs. Cooley. I'm here to talk to you today about what happens if we have an emergency and you are in the hallway. So the first thing is, if it's passing period or you are out in the hallways on a restroom break or whatever, if there's an announcement that comes on and it says that we are going into a lockout, that means that the exterior doors are going to close and you can go about business as normal, okay? Listen for further instructions. If we have to evacuate and it's passing period, you need to follow adult instructions. Get off your phones, put them away, and follow the adult instructions with whatever teacher you're around and follow that group. If it's a passing period, or if you're out using the bathroom, or you're in the hallways with a hall pass, go to the nearest teacher's room and follow what they have to say. If it is a shelter in place, then you need to, once again, find the nearest teacher and follow adult instructions. Now here's the big one. If an announcement comes on and it's emergency, where we have to go into a lockdown, then you need to find the nearest classroom that is open. If a door is closed, you're not going to be able to get in. They're not going to open it for you. So find a classroom that is open, get in there and barricade the door and listen for further instructions. If you cannot find a door, or if you are near an exit, then you need to run, okay? Get out of the building and find a place and be safe.
Good afternoon. I'm Mrs. Street, and I am one of the assistant principals here at Tomball High School, and I'm here to talk to you about safety. What to do before school emergency situation. So if you are located in the fine arts, athletic, or PE area, you are to go to the stadium if we are going into an emergency situation. Everyone else will be asked to go across the street to Tomball Junior High School. And if we need to evacuate the entire area, we will go to Tomball Intermediate School. If you have any questions, please find one of the APs. We'd be happy to assist you. Thank you.
Hey guys, Nick Hoffman here, one of the assistant principals here at Tomball High School. If you ever need me, my office is in the lower lobby. Going to continue to talk to you guys about safety. My section is for after school. Some of this may sound familiar, but we just want to make sure that we're making sure everybody's aware of kind of what to do. Remember the four big topics that you might have heard from some of the other administrators: a lockout, a lockdown, an evacuate, and a shelter. And again, I'm talking about after school. So a lockout, remember, we want to return inside. We will continue to move throughout the day if it's during the day, but if this is after school, that means something is happening around the building, and we want to make sure we get inside. So next would be lockdown. Remember, this is for after school. Guys, we want you to move away from the site. That means that there is something, if you hear that or coaches are yelling that, you happen to be here for an event, that means there's something that's going on inside the building. Evacuate, just like it would say, depending on what side of the building you're on, but if you hear that or you're around, typically you're already probably out on the fields or something like that. We'd evacuate if you're on that side of the building towards the stadium. If you're towards the front of the school or waiting for a ride or anything like that, we'd want you to try to get across the street to the junior high. Okay? And then shelter, if you hear shelter, anything like that, could mean a variety of things, just bad weather, a tornado, something like that. But we want you to try to get into a building or into a structure and try to be in the center. Remember to try to avoid classrooms with windows, things like that. If you guys have any questions, you can grab any of the administrators. We're walking around, you see us every day at lunch. Just let us know. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mr. Houghton. I just have a couple last minute reminders to give you about some of our procedures that we're going to be going through this school year to kind of wrap everything up. If you show up after 7:20, all the doors on the exterior of the school will be locked except for the ones in the front. The expectation is that you go to the front door and you go in that way. There's a buzzer for you to ring in, and the front desk is going to be asking you to show your student ID to get in the door. If you do not have a student ID, you need to know your student ID number, your lunch number, and you can give them that and they'll let you come in the door. Because all the doors are going to be locked after 7:20, if you see somebody trying to get in a door that is locked, safety is first. Do not open the door for anybody. Even if you know that they're a friend, we can't be opening the door for anybody. We don't want to get in that habit. Tell them to go to the front, get them in that way. That's how you can come in if it's after 7:20. Couple reminders. We've heard a little bit about evacuation, about shelter in place, all this kind of stuff. If you leave something behind, your backpack, water bottle, whatever it is, and you have left the area, you cannot go back for it. You'll get it eventually, just not in that moment. Also, if you are trying to find a safe place to hide and you find an empty room, there's a couple of things that you can do to keep the door safe, to keep you safe while you're in there. Each door that has a window has a black sheet. Please release that and cover the window so no one can see inside. And then there's a fire hose to go over the door gear at the top to keep the door from opening. That is how you can secure the door, secure the room that you are in, to keep you and anybody that is in that room safe from anything that is going on.
Hey guys, just wanted to talk to you. By the way, my name is Mr. Virkan. I'm an associate principal here over operations here at Tomball High School. Want to talk to you, the most important thing here at Tomball High School is your safety. And that's what I'm here to talk to you a little bit about. I think that's what we're all here talking to you a little bit about on this video. But with safety in mind, guys, always be vigilant. Keep an ear out for things going on around you. If there's anything that you're worried about, concerned about, you overhear something, make sure you say something to somebody. Your teacher, one of the assistant principals, anybody, any adult. Officer White's here for you. So again, you've heard that old saying, see something, say something. That's why I'm basically expressing to you. Make sure that you're aware of your surroundings. Make sure you talk to an adult if there's anything that we need to look into and investigate. We also have an anonymous alert system here at Tomball High School. If you ever want to use that to let us know anonymously, that's awesome. Please do that. But guys, please take that alert system seriously. That's not something to play around with. That's not something to joke around with. Keep those anonymous alerts for things that are serious that we really need to look into, so that we're not wasting anybody's time, because like I said, we want to make your safety a priority, and that's what we're here for. Okay, so come see an adult if you ever need to. Thanks.
All right, Coog, so we reviewed some important emergency and safety operations. Again, I just want to encourage you to be thoughtful about what you do and how you respond. Remember, in those moments where there is an emergency, we need you to look, listen, be attentive to directives and directions that people are providing you, because they're trying to keep you safe. Again, we can't always plan when an emergency happens, but what we can do is plan on what to do when an emergency happens. So again, I encourage you at this time after we conclude the video to ask some questions. Your teachers are there. They will be able to write some of those questions down and get those to us, and as the administration we will put those together, answer those, and come back with an FAQ, so that way we answer questions that maybe come up after our video. Again, we appreciate your attention to this. We know this is an important aspect of our campus, keeping us safe every day here at THS. Thanks, Cougs.